All right, welcome. Thanks for checking out this training. Today we're talking about the best business model for online coaches or online coaching. And whether you already have a coaching business and you're trying to grow it or you're just starting out, this is going to be extremely valuable for you because I'm going to teach you the model that I'm using. And over the last 15 years, I've tried just about every style of coaching and consulting model that's available. That is known to the world. And this is the best one that I have found, particularly if you are new. So yes, it works if you already have an established business, but if you're new especially, this is the model that I'm going to recommend that you use. And the training that we're going to watch today comes, or I'm going to cover today, comes right out of the curriculum that I put together for the collective. And the collective is what I've been emailing you about and telling you about. It's the new program that I'm launching to help you help professionals build coaching and consulting businesses. So if you like this, you are really going to like the collective. And so let's run through. Let's just jump right into it. I'm a little nervous. I don't know why, but I am. Let me hit you with a couple of numbers just to begin with. For those of you who don't know, $1,354,166. That's an important number. That is the amount of money that is spent on online coaching every single hour. Not every day, not every year, every hour. This is what people are spending. And that's across the board. Business coaching, fitness coaching, life coaching, spiritual coaching. If you teach people how to become better writers or how to promote themselves on social media, any of that across the board, everything you can think of, you dial it down, it's over $1 million, $1.5 million an hour. And to give you an idea of where the industry is going right now, if we take a look at just over the last few years since 2019, we've seen a 62% growth in online coaching. So this is a growing industry, which is always nice if you're getting into something. You'd rather not be on the downslope of that industry. Like, you don't want to be in paper sales right now, right? You want to be in something that's got a little bit of tread in it. And the reason I think this is growing so much is because as information becomes more available, there's so much of it and it changes so rapidly that it becomes very difficult to stay ahead of everything that's happening in every single niche and sub-niche that people have interest in. And so they look to hire coaches and consultants to help them keep up with that process. And so before we get started and kind of teach you the models, there's a couple of things I want you to understand about how the industry has changed, okay? So before, I'm talking maybe 10, 15 years ago, really almost up to the last 3 or 4 years. All the value in coaching, in online coaching, was in information aggregation. And what I mean by that is, as I said, tons of information on the internet. And for a long time, you could go out on YouTube, you could search the internet, if you spent 3 or 4 hours and you could find what you were looking for. Maybe you could piece together kind of the steps that were involved in getting the result that you wanted. But there was a real value back then in taking all that information and combining it and putting it in one location and delivering it to the client from a trusted source, which of course is you, the coach or consultant, right? That is no longer the case. The search engine algorithms, the artificial intelligence has gotten so good, and there's so much free content out there with all the creator stuff and YouTube. What people used to pay thousands and thousands of dollars for, which was a multi-module, long, very heavy, intensive course, they no longer want to pay for that. Today, all of the value that you provide as a coach or a consultant is in implementation, right? Clients are looking for, and here's the important word here, they're looking for a partner, not a product. They want help with implementation. So they're looking for somebody who can bring in the most accurate, relevant, and updated information, right? Because information changes so quickly. If you are not deeply involved in that niche, then there's a good chance that you're working with out of date or inaccurate information. So they're looking for somebody to help with that. They're looking for someone to speed up the process of getting the result. In the end, this is what everybody's after, right? They want the result. They don't want your course. They don't want your membership. That's not why they're giving you money. That's not why they're seeking help from you. They want to get a result, and they want to speed up the process that it takes to do that. And they want to reduce the cost of implementation, both of time and money. Now, this is there's only really two reasons why someone will buy coaching from you, right? Now, the first reason, okay, is because they want to speed up the process, right? Or they want to speed up, right? They just want to go faster. They want to get the result quicker. and they want to save the time and the money that's associated with having to try and figure it out and do it for themselves, because there's costs associated with that. The second reason, save cost. And what I mean by save cost is they believe that they cannot get the result without your help. It's either going to cost too much money. The cost of trying to do it on their own is more expensive than the cost of hiring you. And if one of those two is not true, then they don't come to you looking for help. So one of the major reasons is to reduce the cost of implementation and get them there faster. And then last but not least is to reduce the risk of a catastrophic outcome. So again, if they're coming to you and they're thinking about implementing something or they're learning something new, and they're always asking the question, well, what happens if it goes wrong? What is the worst that could happen? We don't know. Human beings are optimized more to avoid a catastrophic loss than they are to get a big gain. And so they're always looking in the back of their minds is, okay, if I try and do this on my own, if I do it just kind of winging it, what's the worst that could happen? And if the catastrophic loss is high enough, they're going to go seek out somebody else's help, right? Now, the question is, let me clean my board off here. The question is, how do we deliver that kind of partnership in a leveraged way? And leverage is the optimal word here, because there are a lot of different ways that you can structure a coaching business, but some of them are not leveraged, and some of them do not provide the outcomes that both you and the client are going to want. So this is the question we're going to answer today, right? Now, first, let's talk about everything you need to run a coaching business. It's real simple. Number one is you need some way of generating leads for the business. And a lot of people confuse leads with subscribers. You know, the goal is not to get as many subscribers on your email list. It's to get enough qualified people, as many qualified people as possible into the business and into your kind of sphere of influence. And when we do that, there's going to be a chunk of them that never buy anything. And you can say this is probably 50% of the people who come to you, right? They're just, for whatever reason, they're gonna solve the problem on their own. They're gonna decide to go in a different direction. They're just gonna suffer and just not gonna solve the problem at all. But about half of them who come in looking at you and considering doing business with you just aren't gonna do anything, and that's okay. And you got another chunk of them, probably about 35% of them, and these are our later buyers, right? These are people who maybe in the next 30 to 60 or 90 days, right? They're going to be interested in doing business. They'll be looking to make a buying decision. And then right at the very top, maybe about 5 to 15% of people, these people are our now buyers. And they're the people who are actively looking right now for the solution that we have. So the first thing that we need is a way to find these people. The second thing that we need is we need what I call a conversion incubator. And this is where we nurture and talk to and communicate with our leads in order to sort them and figure out, hey, who are going to be our later buyers? Who are the people who are waiting for the right time? And who are the people who are never going to buy anything? Okay, so we need a process for doing that. I do this through email, through regular communication with email, through things like YouTube videos and some of the training that you're watching now. And then the last thing that we need is we need a solution. Right? We need a solution to the problem that they're coming to us to solve. And we call this like core product, could be core service. It doesn't matter what you call it, but this is the thing that is going to get them the result that they're after when they come to you. Okay. That's all a coaching business is. Okay. It's very simple. You don't have to overcomplicate it. Now, the problem with courses, I'm not a big fan of courses. I think because of what I said before, people are not looking for information aggregation anymore, which is what courses are really designed to do, is to compile information in one spot and kind of deliver it to you. They're not interested in that anymore. They're not willing to pay a premium price for that. But there is a bigger reason why I don't think that courses are a good choice when you're building out your coaching business. And it has to do with something called TTV, or time to value. Okay. So what is the time that it takes for someone when they come to you for the help that they actually get the help that they need? And when we talk about value, this gets confused too, because value for us is the outcome. Right? So if they're coming to you to lose weight, if they're coming to you to get closer to God, if they're coming to you to increase their lead flow to their website so that they can make more sales, the value we provide is getting that outcome. See, I talk to a lot of coaches and they say, well, Jason, my course is just packed full of value. It's value from the first video to the last video. and they're confusing information with value. The information that you're providing is only relevant, is only valuable to the person who's hiring you or buying from you once it delivers the outcome. Beyond that, for us as coaches and consultants, there's no value in it, because if they don't get the outcome, we don't get a result. If we don't get a result, we don't get a testimonial. We don't get a case study. And if you are brand new, if you are just starting out in business and just starting out your coaching business, you desperately need those, because you don't have a history of you're not Alex Hormozy, right? You didn't build a gym launch and sell it for $46 million. And now you started up a VC firm, and you could just go out there and people automatically listen and trust you because of what you've already done. Now, you may have some success in your life, but the broader world doesn't know that you exist. And so if you are waiting and no one is getting the outcome, because here's what happens is someone comes in and they say, okay, I'll buy your little course and do your thing. And they go through video 1 and video 2, video 3. They get through like the first module, and then they start getting through the second modules. And all of a sudden they hit a point where they're like, oh, this is a lot of information. Like, I've now watched 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours of video. I haven't implemented anything. Let me just slow down and see if I can figure out how this works. And if all they've got is a course and there's no other supporting mechanism there's no way for them to come in and get feedback and help model what they're learning for their business, then most people right here hit the wall. They try something, it doesn't work right away, and they just give up on it, right? So they only get, the average course buyer completes about 3% of the course, just to give you a really clear idea of all the work that you're putting into your course. They're only watching about 3% of it, okay? So for all of these reasons, I don't like courses as a way of getting a result for a client. And I'm going to assume that if you're watching this, you really do care about getting a result for your client, that you're not just interested purely in making money. If you are, your time as a coach or a consultant is going to be short-lived. And you're better off just going out and creating these low-ticket courses like this and selling them one-off and making a few bucks here and there. But you're not going to be successful as a coach. Now, moving along. So what are the different coaching models? Well, we've covered courses, and we don't like courses, right? The other one's one-on-one coaching. The problem with one-on-one coaching is that there's no leverage in there. You're working with a single client. That client is typically hiring you to create product or to assist them in the creation of product or material that is going to help them get a result. And a couple of years ago, about 50% of my business came from one-on-one coaching. And the other came from cohorts and some of the other stuff that I'll explain in just a minute. The problem that I ran into was I noticed that a lot of the coaching that I was doing, a lot of the people had the same problems. And a lot of them could be standardized and kind of optimized in a way that didn't require me to recreate the same thing over and over again for new clients. But if you're doing one-on-one coaching, the problem is there's no leverage. You can raise your prices. Technically, you can raise them infinitely, but there are not a lot of people out there paying $10,000 an hour for one-on-one coaching, right? So it's not a well-optimized, in the beginning you can do it, but we have to have a better model in behind it in order to make it work. The second one's group coaching. So this is leverage. This is better. So let's say that you want to make $1,000 an hour. Well, you can either try and find people who are willing to pay you $1,000 an hour, or you can find 4 people willing to pay you $250 an hour, right? Amortized over your time. And so what most people will do if they start out, especially in the consulting world, is they'll start out here with one-on-one consulting, and then they will end up moving to group coaching. And group coaching is fine. It's great. The problem is that you now have to teach every piece of it, right? So now they're coming in every week, every 2 weeks, and you're delivering the information and then helping them get the results. So helping them model for their business. So then there's this other one where we combine the course or a course sort of self-study training along with group coaching. Now, this can be very effective. There's nothing wrong with this model. And what we see, we also call this a hybrid model, right? And this is what you see most people doing, some kind of course combined with group coaching. And I found a better way, right? So the model that I want to teach you I'm calling it ICR right now, stands for interactive, customizable, and results driven, because that's what I think a coaching business should be. I think that's what good coaches do, is that they create an interactive environment where their clients can customize a solution that fits them and their needs for their specific business in my case, and that's results driven, meaning we're measuring the result that we get from the client. Not only so we can then use those as testimonials, but so that we can share them back with the client and say, hey man, see where we've been? See, you paid me 10 grand, we made you 25. Fantastic. Let's keep working together. That value proposition works, right? So we want to create this type of model in our businesses. Okay. So let's do some numbers. Let's talk about getting to $10,000 and I use $10,000 because that's the magic number that pretty much everybody comes up with. If you say, hey, how much would you need to make a month in order to quit your job and start working full time on your coaching business? And they say, well, $120,000 a year after I pay the taxes on that. And then I get a little bit of money to run the business. $10,000 I could really consider doing that and going full time with it. So assuming that your initial goal to grow the coaching business is $10,000 a month in revenue, here are a few paths to get there. So again, in looking at the different coaching models, here are some things that we could do. You could sell a $129 course, and that would mean you need 77 course sales per month. Okay. Now, before I get to that, let's assume, again, and this is why I say if you are brand new and you're just starting out, you have a small audience, there's a reason why these models don't work very well. Let's assume that you have a small list of 1,000 people. Maybe it's an email list, maybe, and I'm not talking about a social media following. I've got 1,000 people, but 800 of them are friends and family. I'm talking about 1,000 people who are following you because of your expertise and who may be considering doing some business with you, right? You have an audience of 1,000 people. 77 courses per month. So over the course of the year, you got to sell 900 of these courses to a list of 1,000 people. You basically have to sell a course to every single person that you know in order to make that work. All right, moving right along. And this is what happens. Most people start here and then they say, man, there's a lot of feast and famine here. Like one week I sold 10 courses and the next week I sold 5 and then I didn't sell any for 2 months. And they run into this hurdle where cash flow becomes a problem. And cash flow in any business is like oxygen. You got to have it or the business dies. So they say, man, how do I get some recurring revenue coming into this company? And so they say, okay, well, let's start a membership site and we'll make it cheap. We'll make it like $49 a month and we'll put people into this membership and then I'll deliver like some regular training on a monthly basis and I'll give them some recorded training and we'll kind of like build a subscription model. Well, in order to do that, in order to hit your $10,000 number, you got to have 204 active clients in that membership. Now, that's active concurrent clients, not I had 204 one month and then I had a 6% or a 10% fall off rate. We call it churn rate. And now I got 280 clients, right? You got to consistently have 204 clients in there. That's about 20% of your total list, right? So again, pretty hard. Then you say, well, okay, let's start a $500 cohort. And I actually run these still. I enjoy doing them. And you say, okay, if I have a $500 cohort, that means, and a cohort is just simply like a group coaching program. It's a fixed period of time. You come in on a certain date. It's done at a certain time. Everybody puts up the money and you have a mixture of live interaction and some sort of like core training. Okay. That's 20 new clients per month. So we're getting better now. Now we don't have to have quite as many, but we still got to have 20 clients per month in order to make that work, or some combination of these three, right? So maybe I'm selling a few courses, I'm selling some cohorts, I'm selling some memberships, all that stuff. That's the idea. But the point I'm making here is that it's very difficult if you are new, okay, to get a full-time business out of this. Mainly because the cost of advertising has gotten so high. If you are brilliant at content marketing and you're going out there and you're building tens of thousands of people onto your social media that are all good quality potential clients for you, and you're putting hundreds or thousands of people onto your email list every month, then yes, you can get away with this. There are guys like Justin Welsh who do this, and he sells like a cheap $130 course and he sells 1 million of them a year, right? But he's an expert at social media marketing. He came out of Silicon Valley, right? He has deep roots and understanding in how to generate audiences and bootstrap businesses, right? If you don't have that, this becomes damn near impossible, okay? And I know this from having worked with hundreds and hundreds of clients over the years who are trying to build these kind of businesses. What nobody ever thinks about doing is doing something like this. Hey, why don't I just charge $5,000 for kind of for a mentorship that involves a degree of one-on-one support, a degree of coaching that's involved as well, that has a specific result attached to it. And the reason I think that they don't is, one of them, it's a mental block. Like, they can't imagine that somebody would actually give them $5,000 to work with them. Or they don't feel like they're worth that. Now, if you're not worth that, you're not. But hopefully if you've got a little more than 5 years of experience at something, you should be able to put something together that for the right person would be worth, say, $5,000 a year. Okay, but nobody really attacks that market. And this is one of the big reasons, I think, is because I think there is a misconception about high ticket. So this is the way most people think about selling a high ticket. They think, okay, well, if I sell a $50 thing, this is how much effort. So we say difficulty here on the left, but really we're talking about how much effort, how hard it is to get somebody to buy a $50 product. They think, okay, $50 product, well, it's this hard, right? And then the $100 product, well, it's about twice as hard to sell a $100 product or a $50 product. And then 500, well, man, it's even harder to sell the 500. And then, man, 5,000, it's just like, in their mind, that's impossible. They're like, the amount of effort and struggle it would take to sell a $5,000 product, I just can never do it. But in reality, this is more what it looks like. See, selling a $50 and a $100 product, it's basically the same level of difficulty. Right? If they're going to spend $50, they're going to spend $100. In fact, there's no real mental price break if somebody's going to pay for coaching or consulting until you get to about $350 or $400. Could be all the way to $500. So it could be selling $50 or a $500 product, depending on your industry, is the same amount of difficulty, requires the same amount of effort, the same amount of work in order to get that result. But when we go to selling $5,000 products, it is not infinitely harder. It is not 10x, it is not 100 times as hard to sell a $5,000 product as it is a $50 product. It's a little more difficult. You've got to be able to show a little bit more value. There's got to be a value associated with what you're selling. You got to be a little bit better at the marketing and the sales process. Maybe it might require that you talk to somebody on the phone, where you wouldn't have to do that if it was a $50 product. But it's not infinitely more difficult to sell a $5,000 product than it is a $50 product. Okay? And so, because people have this hang up, here's what they end up doing. They end up creating what's called a product ladder. And you've probably seen this if you've been around and watched anybody tell you how to build a coaching business. They've probably said this. They said, well, okay, we're going to start out and we're going to sell that $49 product down here, okay? And then we're going to try and get them to graduate. And then once they buy that, then we're going to ask them to get the $129 course. And then a few of those people will ascend again, and they'll buy the $500 package, the cohort that I'm running. And then maybe I've got the $5,000 thing up here. Or maybe they're thinking, well, once the business is generating enough revenue, then I'll go ahead and think about maybe creating that $5,000 product for people to buy into. And the problem with this is that when they start doing their marketing, because they don't believe that they can get this group of people, they end up doing all of their messaging. You see if I can, my little bullhorn here, right? All of their messaging feeds into these folks. They end up talking to people about low-level problems, talking to people about small-time issues, and trying to sell them on these lower ticket items. And as I said before, it becomes very difficult, if not impossible, for you as a new coach or a consultant to build a business this way, by selling cheap, very easy to obtain, very low ticket stuff. Okay. And so now, with that knowledge, let's talk about the way I'm going to this is the way I recommend you do it. This is the way I'm going to be teaching you guys how to do it in the collective. And this is the way I do it. Okay. So instead of taking that stack of products, that sort of ladder of stuff that we do, we're going to just take all of that and we're going to transform it into that core product that I showed you at the beginning, right? Something to sell. And all the messaging that we are going to do, all of the communication, all of the sales is going to be directed at this product and finding people who are a good fit for this. If it's $1,000, if it's $5,000, if it's $15,000, if it's $20,000, it doesn't really matter. But we're going to build a core product that we can then market to people who are a good fit for this. Okay. And it looks like this. Let me change my little pen here. Okay. We start with a premium client, right? We start with somebody who has the premium problem. And this is why, again, if you're brand new, you don't need a ton of content. You don't need to spend 8 weeks building out a course to sell to somebody. You do not have to have a ton of information already pre-prepared in order to start making money with your coaching business if you use this model. So we can start out with one client, one premium client that we can work with. And we say, okay, what are you dealing with right now? Where are you at? So this is when I have conversations with clients in my Leverage Coach program, which is my premium program. I bring on a new client. The very first thing we do is an intake assessment. And I have a phone call with them, usually about 2 hours. And I say, okay, where are you at right now? What is the biggest problem? Because again, what are the 3 problems we have in a coaching business? We either have trouble getting leads, we have trouble nurturing and converting the leads that we have, or we have the wrong structure of programs and products, right? In order to get the result, right? So the business is overwhelming and it's stressing me out. So once we identify the problem, a single problem, not 2, 3, 4, 5 problems, one problem, then I'm going to create a solution for them. Okay. And I'm going to give that solution to the client. And I'm going to say, okay, here's the solution. Here's what I want to do. And here's what I'm going to do for you. And here's what I want you to do with this now new solution. I want you to go out and use it. And then what we're going to do is together, the 2 of us are going to implement and iterate. So we're now going to take that solution and we're going to go see if it works. Now, the good news is I've been doing this a long time, so it usually works, right? If it does work, great. Then what we're going to do is I'm going to standardize the solution in short niche training. Not a module, not 8 hours of coaching, small, independent, 10, 20-minute training that solves for this specific problem. If it doesn't work, we're going to go right back to creating a solution. We're going to say, okay, why do we think that didn't work and what can we do to fix it? See, this is coaching, right? This is coaching. This is consulting. It's not handing somebody a course and saying, here, go watch all these videos and good luck to you. It's like, no, where are you? Personalized, customizable, right? Creating customized solutions for individuals. Now, once I have this short niche training, I can do a lot with that. Okay. And what I do is I take all that training, all those individualized trainings, and I just put them on a shelf inside of my core product. When someone comes to me, I don't say, okay, well, first of all, here's this 8-module course that I want you to go watch, or here's 3 weeks worth of training I want you to watch and work on, and then come to me and we'll figure it out. It's like, no, where are you now? Oh, okay, you're having this problem? Oh, I actually have a training for that. I had a customer of mine who already had that problem, and we solved that, and here's what we did. And we can have some really obscure stuff that we work on. I was just talking with a client who is thinking about joining the collective, and he said, I got this interesting business I'm thinking about running. I the Amish, and of course I do. Amish are those folks who drive around in horse and buggy and they don't use electricity. And we had them all over Kansas where I grew up, those and Mennonites. And he said, well, I've been working with the Amish, and there's a segment of the Amish that have not turned their back on all the new technology. They're actually using the internet. They're selling things on eBay, and they've got this really incredible business doing $10, $11, $12 million a year, whatever he said. And he said, the problem is they know nothing about the internet. They're actually having other people do it for them, and they don't know what they're doing. And they've come to me and they've asked me for my help. And I've been working with them kind of in a consulting capacity, teaching them things along the way. But he said, I think there's a coaching business in here where I can create solutions to problems that are specifically tailored to people in the Amish community and help them build out their online presence and sell more stuff and make more money. And I can tailor it to them. And I thought, well, that's a really interesting business. He said, yeah, but I mean, we got to really tailor this because these people don't usually use the internet. They hire people to do it. He said, they're still calling me on the phone. And I said, see, that's what we're talking about when we talk about, when we talk about customized solution, right? We're customizing what we do for the client. Is that's what I mean, is that there's going to be people who have that problem. And I said, I really hope you join the collective because I would love to help you solve those problems while we're in there. Because once we solve those, guess where that's going to go? It's going to go stick it on a shelf. I'm going to stick it on a shelf in there. And the next time I get somebody, it may be weeks, months, years, a decade down the road. And I'm going to have that in my back pocket. I'm going to say, you know what, I can help you with that because I had a client who needed that problem before. See, now I don't have to recreate for every new client the same thing. We don't start over from zero. I utilize the assets that I create and the solutions we have from one client, and I share them with other clients. And then when I do need to create something new or customizable for the client, then I do that. And it just goes into the solution stack. Okay. But the beautiful thing about this is that I now can still carve out any one of those individual solutions or trainings or workshops that I do, and I can sell that independently, right? So you see how we talked about before that there's a whole bunch of people in there. There's people who really want your top product and they're looking to solve a really big problem for high ticket. But there's also a lot of these people at the bottom who, have smaller problems or who maybe aren't willing to give you thousands and thousands of dollars without kind of testing out the waters. Well, what I do is I then take, so this is where we've come so far, right? We ID'd the problem, we created a solution for the client implemented, we iterated until we solved the problem, and then I put it into the solution stack, okay? Then what I can do is I can offer that solution to my audience, to my email list, to people who are not clients of mine, and say, hey, I had a client and he was struggling with this problem. For me, it might be something like, how do I build an authority brand? Or how do I generate leads or nurture? How do I create nurture sequences for my business so that I don't have to constantly be hunting up new people to sell to, right? How do I have a long tail marketing strategy? Things of those nature, right? Well, a few of those people who buy those programs will end up getting a result from them, and they will end up becoming premium clients of mine as well, right? So this is the way my business works right now. This is what it looks like. So all of the marketing that I do in my business is designed to attract people who are interested in this. And the beautiful thing about this is my leverage coaching program, right? I call this leveraged coach. And everything I do is designed to attract those people who would be interested in that. Now, when people come in and they signal to me because they take my lead magnets or they answer a question or an offer that I have, a portion of those people right here at the top, let me get a little different color because it'll help you help identify this better, right? A few of those people at the top will be ready to buy now. And I just send them over. I send them a little PDF document that says, hey, you should check this out. It's a pretty good program and I think it'll help you, and let me know what you think. A big chunk of them, they're going to be later buyers. And they're just going to sit. And then there's going to be a chunk, as I said, about 50% of them, they're never going to buy anything. They're just going to stay on my email list. They might really like my content, or they may end up unsubscribing. And I'm okay with that. All I want to do is be ready and be top of mind when the people who are interested in buying down the road are ready to do it. And at any time, they can come over and buy this, right? So I don't do a big launch. Oh, doors open, doors close, get it now. Or, I don't do any of that. Just like when you're ready, I'm here. And in the meantime, I take out little chunks of training, I break them out, and I sell those to my later buyers. Okay? So these are people who could be interested in this in the future, but they might need a little bit more help. They might need a little bit more convincing. They might want to do a little bit of training and work with me. So maybe I carve out a workshop and I say, hey, for a couple hours, we're going to get together. For a few $100s, you can join this workshop and I'm going to teach you X, Y, and Z. And they can come in and get an idea of what it's going to be like to work with me. Okay? And then once we get done, I say, hey, if you like that, guess what? Are you ready to buy? Ready to join my coaching program yet? See? Now, up until now, I have been teaching this model and working with successful coaches and consultants in order to help them re-engineer their businesses to work like this. It's a business. You don't have to run launches if you don't want to. There's no complicated tech funnels. There's no like sleazy or high pressure marketing stuff that really makes people feel out of alignment with who they are and how they want to be perceived. This is a very no pressure style of coaching and consulting that's results driven, completely customizable to the individual, and is interactive. So we get a lot of time to work together. And until now, I've been doing this through Leverage Coach, but what I want to do is I want to expand on this. And I want to open it up to people who are new, who are just starting their coaching businesses. So I can work with you guys from the beginning to build the business the right way. And that's what the collective is. It's a breakout of my leverage coaching program where I'm going to be working with you guys in order to help you build the business, build the program, market it, sell it, so that you can get to a point where you're generating that revenue. And the beautiful thing the last thing I'll say about this is when we optimize all of our marketing and all of our messaging for the high-end buyer, for the person who's solving the big problem, we get everybody underneath. So if I say, hey, I'm looking for people who are looking to restructure their coaching business and figure out how to generate $17,000 to $32,000 a month, creating just 3 hours a day as a one-person coach or consultant, which is what I do. That's the offer I make. I'm like, hey, I built a coaching business that does roughly $30,000, $20,000 to $30,000 a month in income. And I create about 3 hours a day working with clients and creating stuff. And if you'd like to see how I do it, this is how I do it. And then if you'd like some help doing that with your business, happy to help you, right? That's the message. Well, not only do I get all the people who want that, I get all the people who are interested in just starting out in coaching. And I bring all of those people into my business. But the trick is it doesn't work in reverse, right? So if you're marketing how to start a coaching business or how to lose 50 pounds, you don't also get professional athletes, right? So it works one way, it doesn't work the other way. And so that's why we want to structure all of our marketing and all of our communication around the core product. So that's what we're going to be doing in Leverage Coach. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to identify what is the problem you solve, who do you solve it for, and what is the solution that you're going to use to get the result. Then we're going to build out the program that you're going to offer. Then we're going to shift our attention to building the audience and doing the marketing and the promotion. I'm going to teach you about that. And then I'm going to work with you as you start to develop your first coaching clients so that you can start bringing money in the door and you can work through the process of finding the right mix, the right combination of interaction, customization, and results-driven sort of program that's going to work best for you. So if you're interested in that, then there's a link somewhere on here on the page in the description, whatever, that's going to give you a link over to the PDF doc where I talk about everything that's in the program and how it's laid out. I'm closing the registration on the 31st because the first time I do this, I want to run through everybody at the same time. Once that's done, then, in 6 months or so, then we'll open it back up and I can take other people. But in this first run, to make sure that everybody gets maximum benefit and I make sure I'm structuring the course right and people are getting the results, I'm going to run everybody through at the same time. So that's the reason that I'm ending the enrollment on the 31st. So if you're interested, go check that out and then get signed up because we're starting on the 1st, on August 1st with our opening training. So thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. If you have questions, let me know. And I shouldn't be doing that with my pointer. I'll talk to you soon.